we need to identify mental strongholds of the mind. And this takes an honest assessment of where we're at. We need to do some honest self-evaluation of any mental strongholds that we may have. Now, a mental stronghold is just a pattern of thinking or belief that is contrary to God's truth. And it keeps us bound in a carnal, worldly way of thinking. And this can be a whole lot of things. This include negative thoughts, fears, doubts, lies, lusts. And essentially, it's all idolatry. And it's an obsessive focus on things that are not of God. Now, these mental strongholds, they hinder us from glorifying God. And instead, they put the focus on ourselves. And the enemy loves to use mental strongholds to hinder our walk with God. And here's another side note. We need to be lamenting the over-naturalistic view in the church these days. That denies spiritual oppression. There's a lot of people, it seems to me, that are more influenced by the Enlightenment than they are the Bible, that are even in our pulpits. We have an enemy that loves to oppress us spiritually. And we need to recognize that we are in a war. Look at what Paul says in 2 Corinthians 10, 4 and 5. This is spiritual warfare language. He says, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ. This is strong spiritual warfare language emphasizing the battle that we face to reclaim our minds. So we need to identify these mental strongholds. If I'm struggling with lust, or I'm struggling with anxiety, if I'm struggling with fear, whatever it is, I need to identify it and I need to wage war against it with the weapons of God. And what this is the process of renewing our mind. We know the verse, Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of our minds. And Galatians 5:16 gives a very definitive statement that we need to really think and analyze. He says, if we walk in the Spirit, we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So renewing our mind, walking in the Spirit is the key. But how does this work? How do we do this?